Hello everybody, this is Anton Beatty here, and I got a very special guest with me that you all probably know. I'm here with Cathy Scott, a former award-winning reporter for the Las Vegas Sun, who also wrote articles for the LA Times as well as the New York Times. The author of several books on a wide range of subjects, like Susan Berman, the daughter of David Berman, the mob figure that replaced Bugsy Siegel after his own murder, called Mafia Daughter, Life and Tragic Times of Susan Berman, as well as Ted Binion, who died in 1998, the gambling executive, in the book The Death in the Desert. I've been a big fan of Cathy Scott for over 10 years now, as she's investigated Tupac's death probably more than anybody, and wrote an extremely detailed book called The Killing of Tupac Shakur, which is one of those books that each time you read it, you'll pick up more and more things. She also wrote a book equally as detailed about Chris Wallace, The Killing of Biggie Smalls. You could get all these books on Amazon. I suggest everyone do. She's also featured in the DVDs Before I Wake and Tupac Assassination, which came out in October of 2007. So if you haven't read those books or watched those DVDs, pick them up. Well, first of all, Ms. Scott, thanks for being on here.
Well, thank you, and thank you for such a warm and wonderful intro.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for being on here. Now,
you're welcome.
Real quick, most people want to know, are you going to be in part 2 to Tupac Assassination that's going to be released later this month?
Yeah, I am in it. I don't quite know what I said in it, but, because it's been edited down, but yeah, I'm told I'm in it.
Right, okay, good. Now, the way you got started on Tupac's murder, you got a call the morning after he got shot. Is that right? Is that pretty much...
Yeah, it was about 5:30 in the morning, and the police and everybody they were all at the scene.
Okay. Now, let me get to the meat of it. You wrote really, again, the second of which I suggest people get the revised and expanded edition of The Killing of Tupac Shakur. It has a little bit more information. The initial one released back in 1997. Who killed Tupac?
Well, I think it's pretty clear. All the evidence points to, members of the Crips killing Tupac. There are a couple of theories out there, and I don't, right off the bat, I do not believe it was Suge Knight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's not a shred or ounce of evidence, and they have looked at him, and if there were any evidence, they would have gotten him a long time ago.
I was just
they wanted him bad.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. The fact that Suge Knight has been arrested for ridiculous things.
I think the Teflon boy right now, they can't get him, but yeah, they're trying to throw the kitchen sink at him and hope something sticks because they can't get him on what they really want to get him on. He didn't do it. He had nothing to do with it. That's my thing.
Oh, I agree. What about who... I heard of him before in a book that Randall Sullivan wrote, but who was really introduced to the public back when Tupac Assassination came out. Reggie Wright.
Oh, Reggie Wright. Yeah. Well, Reggie Wright owns Right Way, and I believe he's been looked at before. I don't think that one's been put to bed yet, but I haven't seen anything that proves to me that Reggie Wright did it. Unless Randall Sullivan came out with some big,
Oh no, he pretty much regurgitated. Randall Sullivan pretty much regurgitated the old 10-year-old theories about Suge Knight possibly being behind his death. He talked maybe about
the way that scenario goes is that those guys had radios and Right Way knew where he was going to be, and Reggie and Right Way knew where he was going to be, obviously, because they all were hooked up. But someone there that night knew where Tupac was and tipped off somebody. That doesn't mean it was Reggie Wright.
Well, let me ask you this, because that's interesting. That's what a lot of people mention. A lot of people talk about how the fact that the killers knew where Tupac was.
Well,
but
the mall. I've had this one thrown at me too, but the Metro Police clearly didn't appear to want to solve the murder. And I always thought, and I was told, that those 8 police officers, and I believe I named them in my book, the ones who were moonlighting for Right Way and Suge Knight that night, which is very common in this town to have off-duty cops moonlight. That's what they do. They're at the convention center and everything else. They're allowed to do that. And it's actually, you go through the police department to get off-duty cops. and they all were black. I confirmed that, and I was told that having a big murder case here in town would have been a trial would have been an embarrassment and bad for tourism. Well, we've had lots of mob trials here and never hurt tourism. It actually picks it up, I think.
Yeah.
But,
right.
so and it could be because there are eight off-duty cops who were very close to it. What did they know? Were they interviewed? I mean, they were very close. They were, most of them, my understanding is they were waiting at Club 662. I think Tupac was supposed to be hit at Club 662, and that the vehicle driving the shooter happened to see them on Flamingo and took the opportune moment to do it. But I think the hit was supposed to take place down there.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean, I don't know. I think is that. I mean, I came out with it. They were very unhappy. They didn't want me to put their names in. They didn't want to even confirm it.
Are you talking about Mike? Are you talking about Mike Franks?
Well, Kevin Manning was
Kevin Manning, right?
The one who ran it. And I mean, something very telling, and it's in the book. Something very telling is that when all the reporters were calling to interview him, he just turned off his recorder.
Yeah, I read that in your book.
That doesn't sound me. He's the one who told me, and he told me that himself, and that just doesn't sound like a man who wants to solve a murder. I mean, they clearly just wanted it to go away, and it did, sort of. But why? And it, not that they had anything to do with it, but what did they know? I think it would have been an embarrassment that the police might have been too close to it just because they were there.
Right.
And that's what I think.
Is it possible?
I think that's part of it.
That I've been to Las Vegas a few times. Have a few friends that live there. I somewhat know the streets a little bit, but not as much as you. Okay, at around 8:30, 8:45, Orlando Anderson gets beat down in the lobby of the MGM. He leaves. He doesn't press charges. He gets out of there. Probably more likely to meet up with some of his friends who are Crips. Is it possible?
That would stand at Treasure Island.
At Treasure Island, right. Now, how unlikely is it, how possible is it that these guys are looking for Tupac? They know he's going to be at 662. The main road to get to 662 was Flamingo. So if these guys are looking for Tupac, more likely the street they're going to be on is Flamingo. And the Flamingo and Colville is only 2 miles away from 662, where 662 is at. So what I'm saying basically is that if these guys were specifically, I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, well, there was a dirt lot across the street from where he was shot.
Not only that, but Tupac is even noted in your book, when he was riding with Suge Knight before he got shot, before he landed at Colville, Tupac was making himself known. He had his head sticking out the window partying. He was talking to those 4 girls who were in that sedan.
The music was very high, and they got pulled over by the cops.
Right.
And shit.
So he was...
For not having plates. I mean, they would have taken my car,
But how unlikely is it that some Crips were looking for him? They obviously, if you know he's going to go to 662, you'll be on the main road that gets you there. Tupac was making himself visible, and they saw him and shot him.
That's a possibility. I mean, they could have. I mean, I've never thought of that, but the way Suge did it was he his house was over on Sunset, way on the southeast side. So what he did was he came up Sunset, hit the Strip, hung a right, which was on the very south end, shortly after, past where Mandalay Bay is, on the south end. And somewhere along there is where they got pulled over, before they, kind of before you get to the Luxor. And that's when they got pulled over by the cops for not having proper plates. And then they kept going. I don't think someone could have followed him and done it because it's so difficult. But, they could have been waiting knowing that that's a possible route. That lot across the street from the parking structure where the cops were at the street was, I believe that was a dirt lot. And so they very easily could have just pulled up.
Right.
And waited. And I never thought of that.
Okay.
And there's also the theory, of course, not to be jumping the gun on you, but the theory, of course, is that Tupac was the target.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that's right. That's interesting.